Heyo everyone, Catros here. I know, a very different form of me trying to communicate with everyone, as normally I would do so via Discord or try to get something out on Twitter. But I just really felt like this was something that I really couldn't just put in a Twitter post, or something that I just didn't want to DM every single person. Not to sound lazy about it, of course, but I just figured having more of a video might be a bit of a better thing to do for something like this. And I just decided to throw on me playing randomized Fire Emblem 8 in the background, just so it's not just a blank screen. I don't really like having my face on camera, so that's why you're not seeing my face. And Ewan needs to stop missing. That was at 80%. So, by the title of the video, you can probably already tell that this is mostly about writing. I've been doing freelance writing since I got basically right before I left college. Writing, for I would hope most of you would know, has been a dream of mine since I was a little kid. Every time we hit a milestone, I do like to tell everyone who's commissioned me that, hey, thank you for commissioning me. This has been a dream of mine since I was a little kid, and it has. All my life I was told that I would never be a writer, I could never write, and just to have people pay me to write stories for them, and then not only do that, but return to have me do more stories for them, is just honestly something that if you would have told Catros 10 years ago that this was happening, he wouldn't have believed you. He would have thought that you were lying and that you're just trying to just be a jerk, basically. So I want to thank everyone who has commissioned me these past 3 years. I've met many friends through the commissions, met many great people, have written some really interesting stories that I would not have thought of on my own. The one that comes to mind is the Gallus Out of Time one, which was the first, I guess not series, but the second series that I was commissioned to do. I know it's about Gallus, one of the young six, who ended up getting frozen by Princess Twilight, and ended up in Gen 5 times where he fell in love with Princess Pip, and they got married. It was a 4-part story, and if you haven't read it, I really recommend it. Even looking back on it now, it's still probably one of my favorite commissions to have worked on. So shout out to the person who commissioned that. I don't know if they want me to say their name, so I will just keep that to myself. And this entire video is not scripted. I figured this would be more meaningful if I just did it and didn't just try to stick to a script like some YouTuber with 10 million views who got caught scamming his fans. So, back to what the video is about. I have kind of recently hit an impasse on my writing. I was looking at the statistics last year of my writing for 2025, and I had 50 commissions. A huge feat, in my opinion. Like, there are people who would never see half that. They would just they would try it for a year, and then they would give up. In my first year, it was kind of like that. My first year, I only had 13, 14 commissions last time I checked. So I basically tripled that number from when I first started. But in seeing that number, the total amount of stories that I wrote, I misspoke, not 50. My total number of commissions was 60 last year. I had 60 commissions. And I wrote 30 stories in general, either 30 full stories or parts to them, like chapters. So that means last year, on my own, I only wrote about 30 stories for myself. And the numbers kind of made me start to think of, am I wanting to write my stories or other people's stories? And I don't have a problem writing other people's stories. Again, I have had the chance to write stories that I would never have written on my own without seeing like that kind of plot before. But it did kind of make me realize that, you know, I have stories that I want to tell, and I'm really not doing it. And I will say a lot of it is kind of on me for not scheduling my time better. I'm a very busy guy. I work 40 hours a week on my own, and then I work an extra anywhere 10 to 20 hours for my church. And then writing is also thrown in the mix there. And there were many, many nights last year where I was up at 7 in the morning and I was doing stuff till 2, 3 in the morning just to repeat the cycle. And it kind of took a toll. Oh, let's not throw that away. But, and again, what am I trying to say here? I was also doing commissions to kind of help me lead ends. You know, before my current job, I was working at Walmart, and then I worked at Red Lobster, and then I worked for T-Mobile, and T-Mobile was actually a fairly good job for these commissions, because when the store was dead, I could just pop on my laptop or on my tablet, whichever I felt like bringing that day, and I could write. And when a customer came, I just shut it off and helped them for a few minutes, and then I was back to writing. But sadly for T-Mobile, it didn't work out. My manager and I had agreed to days for me to work and times for me to work on specific days, and basically, and basically what happened with that is I was lied to, and I tried for a year to talk to him about it, and I sadly had to leave T-Mobile at the end because it just wasn't working out for me with the hours that I needed to do everything I needed to do IRL. So then I worked at McDonald's for a little bit, and commissions were a great way to help me have corners, or to have ends meet, you know. Not that I was ever like running out of money for bills or anything, but on the same vein of me taking commissions, I also commission quite a bit of art for future stories that I have in mind, and they do fill. There is a lot of them in my Google Drive right now. I have a Patreon with a fan box subscription with a friend that I'm a part of, that I basically get a free character every month now, as long as I support him. So that kind of helps with that. But I currently got a job at a bank, and honestly, it pays really well. Not to get like too nitty gritty into the finances and stuff, but with this job, I really don't have a need to rely on commissions. And commissions for the past couple months have just been fun money. And there's nothing wrong with having fun money. You know, again, I commission art. I play video games. Even though what I'm currently playing is definitely not Nintendo legal. But I play a lot of games. I commission a lot of art. But even with my new job, like, I sat down, wrote down a budget, and even with all my bills and whatnot, I still have quite a bit of money to play around with, even after saving some. So I just kind of lost the need to rely on commissions, and I'm not saying that that's kind of what killed commissions and the rate they've been coming out, because I will be the first to admit, in the past month, they've kind of been coming out really slow. That is not because of my lack of need for them. I've had a lot of personal stuff going on in my life, sadly, and I've had to take a couple steps back before I've had a mental break. If you've seen on my Discord, for the first time in forever, I actually went on Do Not Disturb with the caption, taking a mental break, you know, things like that. But for this year, I'm thinking I'm going to pull back on advertising commissions, and I'm going to make a sincere effort to do stories, to do my stories specifically. And with that, I'm not saying that I'm going to be pushing out 50 stories this year, because the stories that I have in mind are fairly long and will need quite a bit of editing. Like, I got one for Sonic right now, and it's like, I don't even have it up, but I think when I broke it down to 15,000 bits for people, so it's just easier to read, it ended up being like 8-9 parts. And that's what I'm kind of wanting to do this year going forward. I want to start my own Patreon and get those stories out there, and just try more to get my name out there as a writer and not the freelance writer, if that makes sense. And by that, we've been recording for how long? 10 minutes. With that, I'm not saying I'm never doing commissions again. And quite frankly, I'm not closing commissions. But I'm gonna stop advertising them. I might leave the commission information up on my Twitter and my Bluesky for the time being, but I'm not gonna really push it anymore. There's not gonna be the weekly post of Catros commission information with 15 different hashtags trying to gauge interest in different fandoms. I'm just gonna let people come to me if they're interested, which has happened a few times. It actually happened the other day. I had a guy message me and was like, hey, what's your Discord? I want to commission a story. And I hadn't pushed my commission information since, 2 months before Christmas? October? So, from the evidence I see, it will happen, but it's going to be kind of at the point where if you want a commission, I want you to come to me about it, and I'm not going to be trying to claw my way up, if that makes sense. So yeah, again, huge thanks to everyone who supported me these past few years. This isn't me saying goodbye by any means. It's just a heads up of a different format that I'm wanting to do. And there's other things that I'm wanting to do now that I have like financial freedom, a little bit more wiggle room on what to do, and I don't have to worry about, hey, I'm only surviving. Now that I'm kind of thriving here a little bit, I want to break out a bit more into maybe doing audiobooks for my stories. I tried it a couple times and I just kind of dropped it because I was like, I got other things to do. I can't be worrying about this. I would really like to make a sincere effort about breaking into that, seeing if that is an industry for people to explore and try to find me. And I do want to kind of lean more into the TTRPG stuff. My two loves in life: video games and writing, and well, not video games, but games in general and writing. And TTRPGs kind of just fill both those voids. So it just makes sense for me to lean towards them a little bit. And from what I've seen and whatnot, and feedback that I've gotten from people, not just friends, I do fairly well at it. I personally don't, which is probably not the thing you want to hear from the guy making the story, but I do suffer from a lack of confidence, even though all my TTRPG characters, ooze it. But I don't know, that's just kind of the psychology behind TTRPGs, where you play characters that you want to be and not characters that you are. So yeah. But I did do one-shots. There's a website called Start Playing where you can hire people to like GM games for you, or they'll run a game and you actually pay to be in their game. And I ran some My Little Pony sessions on there and got honest feedback from people, and they said that they enjoyed my GMing style. So I would like to try to lean into that a little bit more. I'm not saying that I'm going to go back to Start Playing, because honestly, and if you're one of the people who were in my Little Pony sessions, this is nothing against you by any means. You are all wonderful people. I had a lot of fun, and you all had really interesting characters. But when you're GMing for a group of practically strangers, it is so awkward. And that's more on me for not being able to get over that awkwardness. So going forward with the TTRPG stuff, I do have a TTRPG server with me and friends in it, and a good bit of them have told me they don't care if they're recorded. So I'm wanting to start recording, and I do have some TTRPG stuff on here with my own Fire Emblem based system, which I do want to work on some more. I haven't worked on it here in a little bit because, again, life has been busy, new job required my attention for training. But now that I've gotten into the swing of things, today was actually my last day of training. I feel like I'm gonna start, or I don't feel, I'm wanting to start, dear Lord, words, to start getting more of that stuff out, get more TTRPG stuff out, and start recording more sessions. And I already have, like, the first one planned. It's not the Thundercats one. It's actually, or I didn't mean Thundercats. It's not the Fire Emblem one. It's actually the Thundercats one. There was a Thundercats TTRPG that was put on Kickstarter, and today was the last day for the Kickstarter. Oh, Garcia doubles. He needs a elixir. Today was the last day for the Kickstarter, and I spent more money on it than I should. And I don't mind sharing that on here because I shared it on Twitter, that I spent more money than I definitely should have on it. But that's going to be the first thing that I really upload here. Me and my friends are going to be doing a one-shot for the Thundercats system, and we're going to see how that goes. And I've already talked to them about if this turns into a campaign, or like if we really like the one shot and we want to turn it into a campaign, then we can discuss dates and times and things like that. So yeah, that's just a few future plans that I have. Just wanting to focus on my own stories here a bit more. Oh, that was close. Ewan almost died. Don't worry, I'm a master Fire Emblem player if you couldn't tell. But yeah, I want to start working on my own stories a bit more, get those out on a fanbox/Patreon, and maybe work on the audiobook aspect of it a little bit. Maybe try to get some friends or hire some people to do voices, because the one that I did my story needing a metaton of help. No, that's wrong. What was it? Closing Curtain. Closing Curtain, which was a Undertale story about Metaton fighting Frisk/Kara, and I just messed up. How much? Oh no, he's fine. Oh, he only deals 3 damage. Cool. We don't need the honorary on him. But yeah, it was Closing Curtain call, and I tried doing Alfie's voice, and it was, I'll be honest, it was fun doing the dumb nerd voice for her, but I could see why, if that is the first introduction to me that you would hear, you would just kind of shy away from it. Okay, and I had no reason to live through this phase, but okay. So I have friends, I have female friends who would probably, okay, never mind, and that's the game over. Master Fire Emblem player. But I have female friends who would more than willing be able to do it. There's also other resources to get people to do narration. There's Fiverr and there's Casting Call Club. For that, I would like to pay them. I don't want to be one of the people who is like, yeah, I might pay you if this does well. I just tell them, hey, you know, I'll pay you. Might not be, you know, a buttload that I pay you, but I'll pay you if you want to do this. So there's that. And then again, I just want to really kind of lean towards the TTRPG stuff some more from my own system and just getting more content out there. And I want to do it in my own way. I don't want to be one of the dozen Critical Role wannabes. And with that same vein, we wouldn't even be playing D&D. I don't hate D&D, I just don't play a whole lot of it. The only thing I really like about D&D is the Tiefling class, and it's usually the race that I go for if I'm playing something like Baldur's Gate, or the few chances that I have played D&D, I've always played a tiefling. But yeah, if you've stuck around this long, thank you for listening to my spiel here. And I hope that I've made some sense on what I'm wanting to do with the Catros Creative Corner page. And yeah, that's basically it. Commissions aren't closed, but they are going to be on a by request basis, basically. So yeah, if there's any questions, most everyone will probably have me on Discord who wants to ask me questions. Or if not, you can put them in the comments and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. But yeah, so thank you for listening to this. If you got all the way through, you're awesome. You're a rad banana. But anyways, yeah, you all have a good one, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!